Welcome back, night souls. I'm glad you're here, in the dark. With me, you're safe, for now. This is the Midnight Candles, the place where candles never quite go out, and stories never end where you think they will. This is episode 3. And if you listen to the first 2, you already know. You already know I don't tell fairy tales. Tonight I'm taking you far away. To a convent hidden deep in the mountains of Transylvania, in a village so small it doesn't even have a name on any map. The year is 1974. Outside, there is only the cold, the forest, and something waiting in the shadows. I didn't make this story up. Someone told it to me, someone I know, and while they were telling me, I couldn't look them in the eyes, because the eyes of someone who has seen certain things change. Turn off the lights. Put your headphones on, and please, don't look under the bed. The person who told me this story, her name is Marta. That's not her real name, but it doesn't matter. Marta was 32 years old when she arrived at the convent of Santa Isidora, a Tuesday in November. Small suitcase, worn rosary in her pocket, and something she had carried inside since she was a child. Something she had never told anyone. She heard things, not voices, not exactly. It was more like a weight in the air, a sudden awareness that in a room there was not only her, that something was waiting, that something was watching. She had learned to ignore it. She'd smiled. She'd gritted her teeth. She'd prayed louder than everyone else. And in the end, she ended up there, between those ancient stone walls, as if the convent had wanted her, as if it had been waiting for her all along. She told me that the moment she stepped through the gate, she stopped. Not from tiredness, not from the cold. She stopped because she had the clear, precise feeling that something inside had noticed her. She shook her head, held the rosary tight, and walked in. Mother Varvara welcomed her with clasped hands and a smile that never reached her eyes. "You are the last to arrive," she said. "There's only one rule. After Vespers code, no one speaks, no one gets up, no one goes out." "And if something happens during the night?" Marta asked. Mother Varvara stared at her. 1 second. 2. Too many. "In this convent," she said finally, "nothing happens during the night." She turned on her heel, and Marta told me that those words didn't feel like an answer. They felt like a warning. Marta's cell was small, a crucifix on the wall, a narrow window looking out onto the forest, and a dark wooden bed, ancient, with legs high enough off the ground to fit a pair of shoes underneath, or a glance. She didn't look under the bed that first night, not yet. The other novices were 11, mature, silent, with that stillness in their eyes of someone who has already decided everything. Only one, Sister Elisabetta, had looked at her differently, longer, as if she was recognizing something. Then she had lowered her eyes and said nothing more. After Vespers, the silence fell, heavy, real, the kind of silence that is not the absence of sound, but the presence of something else. Marta lay awake in the dark. She listened to the wind. She listened to the wood creaking. And then she stopped listening to the wind because she heard something else, something closer. A breath. Steady, slow, deep. That was not hers. She couldn't move, couldn't open her mouth. She lay perfectly still, eyes wide open in the dark, and waited. The breath continued. It was coming from under the bed, and then it stopped. Not slowly, not gradually, all at once. as if something had realized that she was listening. The morning after, Marta said nothing to anyone, but Sister Elisabetta was waiting for her, standing at the end of the corridor, hands clasped, eyes that already knew everything. "You didn't sleep," she said. Not a question. "You heard it too," she whispered, stepping closer, voice down to a thread. Marta opened her mouth, closed it. "Wait until tonight," Elisabetta said, and she walked away. That night, Marta lay down fully dressed, shoes on, rosary in hand, and waited. For a while, nothing happened. Then it came, a scratch, thin, dry, like fingernails on wood, coming from under the bed. It stopped. Silence, then it started again, slower, more deliberate, as if something was searching for a precise point, as if it was looking for a way out. Scratch. Pause. Scratch. Pause. Marta leapt out of the bed. She searched for the matches in total darkness, hands trembling. The first one snapped. The second didn't light. The third. Finally, a small, trembling flame. She lit the candle and turned around. The bed was there, still, the crucifix on the wall, the dark window, and under the bed, nothing. Only shadow, only silence. The scratching had stopped. And that's when she understood something. Something worse than the scratch itself. It hadn't stopped because it had gone away. It had stopped because she had gotten up. Something new, something was waiting for her to come back to bed. In the days that followed, Marta and Elisabetta began to talk. Not openly, small things, a glance during meals, a word exchanged quickly before Vespers. "Have you always heard it?" Marta asked one morning. "Since the first night," Elisabetta said. "Just like you? And the others?" Elisabetta looked at her strangely. "The others don't hear anything," she said, "or they pretend not to." Then Thursday came. Every Thursday, 2 novices had to stay awake for the night watch, prayers until dawn, vigil in the chapel. That week it was Marta and Elisabetta. It was not a coincidence. They found themselves in the chapel past midnight, 2 candles lit, cold seeping through the stones, silence all around, heavy, as if the place was holding its breath. They prayed. They whispered in the dark. The candles flickered, and then Elisabetta stopped praying. Marta turned to look at her. Elisabetta's eyes were fixed on the chapel door, still, unblinking. Marta followed her gaze, and she saw it. Behind the door, in the thin sliver of darkness between the wood and the wall, a shape, tall, thin, too tall to be one of the sisters, too thin to be human, not moving, just waiting. The candles flickered again, and the shadow slowly stretched downward, as if it was bending, as if it was lowering itself to look through the keyhole toward them. Marta walked to the door, grabbed the edge, and opened it. The corridor was empty. Just the door's shadow on the wall, cast by the candlelight, tall, thin. Exactly that shape. They looked at each other and laughed, softly, a tired, relieved laugh. But neither of them truly believed it. It was just easier to laugh. It was just easier not to look toward the corridor again. Because if they had looked, maybe the shadow was still there. One evening, the last evening, Elisabetta grabbed Marta's wrist in the corridor, hard, harder than necessary. "Tonight, don't look," she whispered. "Whatever you hear, whatever happens, don't look under the bed." "Don't look at what?" Marta asked. But Elisabetta was already gone. That night Marta lay down fully dressed and waited. For 1 hour nothing happened. For 2 hours, nothing. Then it came. All at once, sudden, violent, a long scratch, continuous, traveling the entire length of the bed from underneath, slowly, deliberately, then a pressure from below, pushing up against the mattress, slowly, with enormous, silent force. The mattress lifted just slightly, just enough to feel it, and then the crucifix fell from the wall. Not slowly, it fell all at once. A dry sound on the rough wooden floor that exploded in the silence of the night. Marta screamed and ran. Feet on the rough wooden floor, candle knocked over, total darkness. She ran toward the door, hands on the wall, breath broken, and inside her head, she heard Elisabetta's voice, clear, precise, as if spoken directly into her ear. "Don't look. Marta, whatever you do, don't look under the bed." Her hand found the door. She opened it, and then she still can't explain it today. She stopped. 1 second, something inside her, something stronger than fear, forced her to turn around. She looked at the bed. She looked under the bed, and there, in the densest darkness she had ever seen, there was a figure, flat on the rough wooden floor, pressed under the bed, dark hair spread around its face like cobwebs, and the hands, those long hands, with those fingernails, scratching the floor, slowly dragging itself forward, trying to come out. Scratch, pause, scratch, pause. The face lifted toward her, 2 red eyes, red like embers, red like blood, staring at her, smiling at her. Marta doesn't remember screaming, doesn't remember running, doesn't remember opening the main door of the convent. She only remembers the cold of the night on her face, and her legs running, never stopping. She left everything behind and never went back. Years later, Marta heard a story that circulated in whispers among the novices of certain convents in Transylvania, that no one confirmed, that no one denied. They said that in some ancient convents, there was a test the novices didn't know they had to pass, something that came in the night, something that scratched, that breathed, that pushed from below, that waited with infinite patience to see if the novice had the strength to stay, to not run, to truly become a nun. Those who survived never spoke of what they had seen. Those who ran never came back. Marta didn't know whether to believe it, didn't know if what she had lived was real or orchestrated, didn't know if those red eyes were a mask or something with no name. She still doesn't know today. And maybe she told me quietly the last time we saw each other, maybe that's for the best, because some answers weigh more than the questions. Are you still there? I hope so. I hope you're sitting down with the lights on, with someone nearby. Because if you're listening alone, in the dark, with your headphones on, stop for a second. Listen, is there something beneath you? This was Marta's story. True or not, it's not for me to say. I only know one thing. Since that night, the person who told me can no longer sleep with the lights off. And me, ever since I met her. Neither can I. Thank you for staying until the end. Night souls. See you next week with a new candle lit and a new story to tell, if you have the courage to come back. The Midnight Candles, episode 3, ends here, or maybe it never ends.